Hey everybody, long time no see. Thanks for checking me out again here at Pop's place. Still working on the Corvette. Been sanding my butt off, man. I've probably got 60 hours of block sanding in this thing by hand. I just really wanted to get it as straight as possible. These Corvettes are fiberglass and they're naturally wavy, but this one's been painted before and a little bit of a hack job. The old clear coat was peeling off because the paint wasn't prepped properly before, and who knows how they sanded it. So I went ahead and blocked this thing as straight as I could to the original base coat and sealer on the car. And I put about 3 heavy coats of 2K urethane high build primer on this thing. Let that dry good, guide coated it, and hand blocked the whole car like I would a custom paint job for a Harley Davidson motorcycle. It's a little bit overkill on a car. It's not the way we used to do collision repair, but this is my baby. It's the Corvette, so I really wanted to do it right. I'll walk around this car and show you what I got so far. It's almost ready for paint. I've got my tent up to keep myself out of the sun. It's a little bit dark back here, but you can see I've got everything sanded. I took the body trim off. I took the mirrors and door handles off. I took everything that I could off. Third brake light off. Tail lights, of course. So I've got all of this sanded really well. I've got the bumper loose so that the paint can get up in between these two parts. And this primer is sanded, hand block sanded, with wet 600 grit sandpaper. This little red spot you see right here, that's some spot putty. I would sand until the guide coat. I still have a little bit to do here. You can see that I just missed black paint, a little bit of black rattle can spray paint on there, and I sand it until you can't see anymore. And as you can see up into this door handle area, the black spray paint will remain in the low areas, in the texture or any kind of pinhole. I still have to touch this up just a little bit in here before paint, but got it pretty close. So once the black is gone on most of the surface, and I have one little pinhole left, you don't want to dig into that spot and create a low spot or a crater, you know. You want to block this thing as straight as possible. So any remaining pinholes, I came back and I spot puttied. That's what that is. I'm only doing from the doors back for right now. The front end was in better shape than the doors back. The front end had been repainted more recently, but I am going to repaint that front end. That's a project for later this year. I just want to get this thing back together. I've got new window felts to go in this. That's why the door panels are off right now. Those window felts rivet in from the inside of that door panel there. I've got my mirrors prepped, the target top prepped, third brake light prepped and ready to go here. So those are all ready for paint. Here's the other side. I've already filled a couple of pinholes. I missed one. I went ahead and re-spot puttied it there. But this is what it looks like once you sand the spot putty off of the pinholes there. Not a big deal. A couple of pieces of this car I didn't prime. The little dog legs there, right behind the door. And the hoop, I didn't prime it because it just wasn't in that bad a shape. Most of the clear had peeled off of this hoop already. Now here underneath the third brake light, it looks a little bit rough. There was some corrosion starting to form underneath there, and I smoothed it out. I might spot prime that right before I paint, but that's underneath the light. You won't see that, so even if the paint comes out a little bit rough right there, it'll be okay, long as I have a good mechanical bond meaning, you know, that it's sanded well enough for the paint to grab onto. I'm not really concerned about it peeling any more than that, so I think that'll be okay. These cars are loaded to ground. I've even sanded the rocker panel underneath the door. It's kind of dark down there. I don't know if you can see that. I had to lay on the ground to get to that, so it's been a lot of work. Spent a lot of hours on this thing so far, and I think it's going to come out nice. My old Champion 2-stage compressor still kicking ass after all these years. Show you a little bit of what I got here going on. I got an air intake going out the wall with an air filter on there. I need to get me a dryer system going. I don't have any kind of dryer, so I have to be real careful with water in my air. But being as it's an 80-gallon tank, if I work when it's not too hot and I don't run the compressor too much, it's not too bad. I've gotten away with it for a long time like that. Here's my little 1-car garage where the magic happens when I paint. You know, obviously I have to move a lot of stuff around and clean it up real good, sweep it out. I blow it out with compressed air in all the corners and everything, and I've got a lot of junk in there right now, so I'm gonna have my work cut out for me when I'm ready to paint here. This is what I'm wet sanding the primer with. I'm at a 400 right now, but I like to start with 400 if it's a little rough, if I have a lot of work to do. But before I am done, before all the guide coat is gone, you know, I sand it with 600. If I can start with 600, that's even better. This is wet or dry. I use it wet. The wet sandpaper keeps it from clogging. If you've ever dry sanded primer, you'll know what I'm talking about. So just got a little bucket here, some water, my DuraBlock. So this is a foam block. It's pretty stiff, but it will flex a little bit, so you know, that thing works great. I love the DuraBlock. So my prepped parts here. These guys are ready for paint. In fact, the car is ready for paint. Since earlier when I showed you I finished up, I think I have one little piece of spot putty left on the side, but she is ready. She's slick. There's a little peek at the paint shelf here. That's the primer that's on there. I've been using the U-Pull 2K urethane high build primer. It's a 4:1. I reduce it with this high-tech universal urethane reducer. Pretty much any urethane reducer will work in any urethane product. Refer to your TDS technical data sheet. TDS is your friend. You know, don't guess, don't let your buddies tell you it'll work. Don't take my word for it. You know, materials aren't always compatible. Got a lot of old scrap paint here. This is my U-Pull body filler, and this is the spot putty, you know, that I'm using, just Bondo brand. You can find that at O'Reilly's or AutoZone or wherever. And then for my paint guns, I'm using these DeVilbiss starting line series. This is just a cheap paint gun, cheap. It's a HVLP ish. You know, these are inexpensive, about $100 for a pair of these guns. You can get this one. This is that was a I want to say a 1.8 tip gun right there. And then I've got my 1.3 tip gun here for my base coat and clear, what I like to use, you know, so I keep this one really clean. My primer gun, not so much. This is the paint I'm going to be using, single stage urethane. I'm going to try the Speedo Coat kit. This was very inexpensive. I want to say it was around $120, more or less. It might have been 150-ish, but very inexpensive. So this is a gallon kit. Actually, it's a 3/4 gallon kit. If you mix both together, it'll give you a gallon of sprayable material. It came a little bit overfilled. It's a little bit more than 3/4 of a gallon. It's about up to here in the bottom of the Speedo, which is nice, you know, because I'm going to be doing a car, and I'm only doing from the doors back, so that should be plenty, you know. And I know some of you guys are gonna suggest some better brands of paint, and I know there are some better brands of paint out there, but I'm not I don't have a big budget for this car. I'm a little low on cash, so I'm going to give this a shot. I've seen some other videos on YouTube with the Speedo coat, and they've had success with it, and it did look really good, so I'm going to try it out, you know. And I'm spraying in a garage. This is not ideal spraying conditions. I don't have a paint booth or anything, so I don't want to be spraying any more than I have to. Base coat, clear coat, you know, you got to spray it twice. Obviously, you spray the base coat, then spray the clear, and it's just more opportunity for problems to arise. So I decided to go with the single stage. It'll flash pretty quick. I'm going to try to spray this early in the morning tomorrow, so the bugs are down and the wind is down, and not too many distractions. I'm going to go for it tomorrow morning. I'll update you guys then. You need a way to clean your paint guns, so I keep this wash thinner. This is just lacquer thinner. It's a low grade lacquer thinner. You can get it for about $50 more or less for the 5 gallons. Might be $35, $45 with plus taxes. It kills a $50 bill for sure. So lacquer thinner by the gallon. If you buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot's, it'll eat you up. It's really expensive. So if you're going to do a lot of paint work, you got to get a 5-gallon pail. So that's what I've been up to. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update. May make a video of me spraying a little paint on there when I start painting it, but I haven't posted in a week or two, and this is why. I've been out here working my butt off. I didn't want to stop and set up a tripod or anything. I've just been going at it, trying to push through and get this thing sanded. Just when I think I'm close, I find a couple spots that I want to work on a little more. Like yesterday, I had everything almost done, and I decided to take that third brake light off, get the paint sanded underneath there, and paint that separate. That way my edges are clean, you know. You can paint a car without disassembling all of this stuff, but it comes out a little better if you take the mirrors off, the door handles off, body trim. I took off the side marker lights on the bumper here, the tail lights, this gas door right here in the middle of the deck lid. This is just sitting there. I'm going to paint it separate off the car, that way the paint gets in around the edges. I've got this this rubber molding here for the back glass. It's off. That way I can trim that and make sure the black is underneath the molding, not just to the edge of the molding. I'm trying to do this as best I can. I'm not the best painter in the world, and I'm definitely not the fastest painter in the world, but I think I'm going to do a good job on this. I've got a lot of experience, probably 30 years of painting and doing body work on and off. So I'm just trying to do a good job on this car, do it justice. This is a 1986 Corvette. It's a classic now, and I'm going to keep it for a long time, so I want it to be right. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you tuning back in to Pop's Place, and until next time, I'll see you later.